Morning, everyone. Good morning. Sherry, good morning to you. I am glad that you were able to join us this morning for our Best Start AV Regional meeting. We have a full agenda, so we're going to go ahead and get started. But before we do this, I want to make sure we do some basic housekeeping and get some information started that we are in need of. Stephanie, my coworker, has provided the sign-in sheet in the chat box for those of you who are joining us via Zoom. Make sure that you sign in. If you are in need of interpretation, make sure you check your vote, and the interpreters are here and available for you. In fact, I'm going to turn this over to Carmen for a moment. Carmen, can you go ahead and share, please?
Buenos días a todos y bienvenidos a la reunión. Si desean escuchar esta reunión en español y están viendo la reunión en su computadora o laptop, abajito en su tablero van a mirar un símbolo como un mundo y ahí van a poder elegir el idioma de su preferencia. Si están en un teléfono celular o una tableta, abajito en el tablero van a mirar 3 puntitos donde dice More o Más y ahí mismo van a poder elegir el idioma de su preferencia. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Next screen, please. So what we want to make sure you understand, we are recording this session. For those of you who are online, we are recording. If you do not wish to be recorded, you can go ahead and put your screen on, take your camera off. Next screen. Thank you. So today, our desired result, what we're going to be focusing on is building a relationship with one another. We have a shared understanding. We want to make sure we have a shared understanding of the result of the last meeting, prioritizing of the domain. So we're going to make sure that you walk away here, you have a clear understanding of what we're doing and why we are prioritizing the domain that we have chosen, and have a better understanding of how collectively we show these results. Because what we did, how we did the voting, we're going to go through all of that today. So this is our agenda for this morning. We're going to do our icebreaker next. We're going to have our meeting agreement. So be prepared for that. We're going to have domain prioritization results, aka the poll results. You just want to know that's the poll results. Okay. Then we're going to do some unpacking the prioritizing of the CPA domain. We're going to have a report back, so get prepared. We're going to have breakout rooms today. Today, we do the breakout rooms, ladies and gentlemen. And then we'll close it up at the end of the day with feedback. What did you get from the breakout room? So it's going to be a time of connecting, a time of unpacking and understanding why we chose the domain that we chose. Well, I should say that you chose the domain that you chose. So with that being said, I'm going to now turn this over to my associate, Mr. Omar Gonzalez, who has a great icebreaker for you all. So Omar, come on up.
Thank you for that, Jerome. So today's icebreaker is, what was the last random act of kindness that you performed and how did you feel? Would anybody like to go ahead and start us off?
They can put it in the chat.
Oh, they can go ahead and put it inside the chat as well. For those that don't know. Yes. Food for a stranger. Okay. And how does that make you feel?
Because to me, like, food is a way that we connect, it's part of what different things, age, whatever. So yeah, it felt good, and they were just decided what to me, it's something so simple.
Can you repeat what she says for the, because they may not hear her?
Yeah, for those of you online, one of our partnership members said booth because that helps us connect regardless of cultural limitations and boundaries. It's a great way to go ahead and connect with others. Anyone else?
Darrell? What's the last? act of kindness you did, Terrell? Every day.
No, I was thinking of something. You know what, the last act of kindness I did was, I gave a positive affirmation, a word to and hugged a woman who was homeless and, was just recently unhoused. But she needed, and she didn't smell good, but she needed a hug. So I hugged her and sat and talked with her and just loved on her. And it felt good. It felt good.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I would say for me, just a little example, there's this group of from a local church of elderly women, and they've been working really hard on starting a reading group for children. And really, they're really excited, and I felt that I wanted to be part of that, and I wanted to support that, so I bought them a whole bunch of different books that are both in English and in Spanish, and I also, and books that talked about historical figures. And I felt like our children need that, and it was like, and then the group of ladies just loved it. They sent me a little video saying how thankful they were, and I didn't even look for any of that, but it was just something that I wanted to just give.
Thank you, Sylvia. For myself, I like to scroll through memes and, videos online and so forth. And for me, I like to go ahead and send certain videos of affirmation, or just letting friends or family know that, while they may not be around, they may have a lot going on, that they're still important to me, and I'd like to be able to connect with them and let them know, like, hey, you're doing a great job. Keep up the work. Sure.
From iPhone, I'm here because I'd like to know what family activities will be coming up in the future.
I believe we'll be talking about those a little bit later for the end of the presentation. So stick around the call. And if there's nobody else, we can go ahead and move forward to the meeting agreements. So for today's meeting agreements, would anybody like to go ahead and read those? Yeah, I'll read. Thank you. All of them?
Yeah. What did I write?
Be punctual, stay present and engaged and on topic. Put the focus on the future. Be authentic yourself. One person speaks at a time. Agree to disagree respectfully. Finish your sentence, not your paragraph. Step up, step back. Exercise confidentiality when necessary. Be patient and open to the technology. Keep your video on if possible. Assume positive intention. A rainy day will make flowers. Separate person from the role. Be creative, have fun.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Omar. I'm talking about balloons, sorry. Thank you, Omar, and wanted to say first of all, welcome to everybody, both in person and virtually. And just wanted to give just a little bit of, I know we have some new people that are attending our meeting. So before I go into the polling, just wanted to give a brief context about what Best Start is and what we do. And so Best Start is a strategy that we have that is funded by First 5 LA. And what we are is we are working with community, we are working with parents, residents, community leaders and other organizations to really start bringing about some systems change. And what does that mean is we look at some of the systems that are in place, and we as a partnership, we're looking to see how we're going to disrupt some of these systems, but a positive disruption, right? Like in terms of, we want to see some changes happening for our children, for our youth and our families here in the Antelope Valley. So that's part of what we're doing, and what we've been doing for the last 6 months to a year is really starting to build our framework and solidify our base. And what does that mean? We look at the approaches that we use for Best Start. We look at different, how we wanted to do our voting. We were working on creating a charter for us. We've been looking at 7 different domains or areas that you as a community wanted to focus on and get data on, to see what, where we wanted to aim our Best Start work. And last meeting we voted on the top 2 domains. We chose, and we'll talk about a little bit about that in just a few minutes, but you know, when it comes in terms of why we're polling, it's important that we do it strategically, that everybody has a say in this. We want to make sure that when these decisions are being made, that our community members will feel comfortable enough saying my voice is being heard, and so it's really, really important to do that. And really, you know, we wanted to make sure that we're identifying concerns, that we are discussing alternative solutions, and that we're creating active action plans to address some of these issues that we're going to. Next slide, please. So, like I said, we voted, or I didn't vote, you voted as a community, and these are the results that we got from all of the polling. And after tallying up all the votes, we found that the top 2 domains that were voted on were children, youth, and families, as well as the education domain. And again, these were voted on by all of our partnership. We did it in our morning meeting in person and also our evening meeting, and then we tallied up all the results. And so moving forward, what we're going to be doing with this is that these are just the domains. This isn't just what we're going to say, this is now our community change agenda. What this is, we're still going to be taking some steps. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to start establishing what our parameters are going to be around these 2 issues, right? And an example of that is, for example, if you look at education, we're gonna then, as a partnership, say, okay, well, education, how are we tying that into 0 to 5? How are we tying that into the families of the Antelope Valley? So we could, as a partnership, we could then say, okay, well, we want to focus on early education. What does that mean? Does that include in-home daycare providers, because that's part of where the education starts, right? Does that include Head Start programs? Does that include preschool? And does that also include kindergarten? So that's an example of what parameters can look like. And then from there, we start breaking down in terms of what community projects we want to do. And we'll establish committees to be able to do that. So those, I'm thinking that by the time we finally break down our community change agenda, it would sound something, according to the example, it would sound something like Best Start Partnership is looking to increase readiness for children to get into kindergarten. And by doing, and how do we do that? We do that by starting with some of the daycare programs. Are they serve proper education curriculums we do? How are the Head Start? What are the missing items? And how we can address these issues, and that's how we'll start making some systemic changes within our community. So next. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, wanted to really get a feel from people on how and why they voted the way they did, and not like in the demanding way of like, why did you vote that way? But no, we want to know like what your opinion is, why were some of these domains so important to you? And so I'd like to have that conversation, and we could do it where if you want to get off the speaker, or if you want to put it in the chat, just give us a word or two on why some of these domains were important to you. And we can also get anybody here in person if this was one of the domains that you chose. We can start off with the education one. And if anybody was voted for that or feel like that is a good domain, give us your thoughts behind that. Kelly?
I chose the education and also the, I don't remember exactly what it was called, it was either, it had something to do with police and criminal justice, things like that. I chose those two specifically for the Antelope Valleys because I feel like with everything that's going on, those two go hand in hand for me. I feel as if we can get the kids young and get them in the mindset of their education being important. They'll make better choices because I feel as if when they get older, certain things just won't be a factor for them if their mind is focused on certain things. They won't be so apt to just hanging out, doing nothing, not doing anything constructive, which will now lead you in the direction of having interaction with law enforcement or probably going into law enforcement, wanting to do something good and beneficial for the community. I just think the two of them go together. And I just think if we catch them young, we can train their mindset to want to be responsible citizens, want to be educated and want to do something for the community rather than doing something negative for them.
And I agree with you in terms of when you're saying these domains kind of go together. In reality, a lot of these domains at one point or another intersect, right? We know that education, that if the children are healthy, the families are healthy, they're gonna be in a better place in education. If the families are living in a safe environment, if they're gonna be healthier, they're gonna, you know, so in one way or another, a lot of these domains do intersect. Anyone else online, Steph? Okay. Anyone else here in person that would like to say, like, in terms of how they felt about, or even how you feel about if you're in agreement with the education domain being one of the areas that we're looking at?
We have Joseph.
Okay.
Said how we think determines how we act. Good education results in more opportunities.
Thank you, Joseph. You're absolutely right.
Go right up.
Okay, can we go to the next slide then?
Oh, wait, go right up.
Oh, sorry.
Loretta said, education is important because it has greatest impact with curtailing current social dilemma. Education opens up opportunities, alternatives that support safety, economic security, etc.
Yes, very true, Dorada, very true. Thank you. And then let's actually go back, I'm sorry. If we can go back and how are people feeling about the children, youth and family domain that was also voted on? Like I said, those two tend to also kind of intersect in terms of education can tie in, but so can health and so can crime and justice, you know, all of these different domains kind of go hand in hand. But is there anybody that'd like to speak on? Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike, Renee is community liaison for the third slash out here in the region. I didn't vote, I didn't get here, but after reviewing what was on the PowerPoint, I think that both the family view is important as well as the education portion. Again, going back to this idea that they intersect at some point. For me, I think that it's highly important that both of those are potentially getting the most of our attention at this time. We think about education, we think about starting early childhood development and equipping that student, you know, for career development and opportunities as they continue to navigate their education pathways. But it also starts with the family encouraging that student as well. It starts with the family being healed and receiving those potential services that are necessary in order to support that child. If we're talking about generational change and movement, then that family is still suffering from some generational things. And so if we want to further the education of the child, the family has to be behind that child as well, more children. So I think that those are absolutely important and yeah, that's my
Thanks, Mike. Kelly.
And that also goes back to exactly what I was just saying, that sometimes the kids can get it and they'll jump on board, but if the parent doesn't get it, then
Right.
it'll be that they'll be told one thing and shown one way at school, but at home, there'll still be these negative or less than, attitudes. So we have to sometimes bring in programs in the school system for the parents too. So that they can either, it's a language barrier or it's just an understanding that I can have a better life. Sometimes it's just telling the person, you can make better choices. And if you as the adult or the parent make better choices, then the kid will look at you as an example instead of someone on TV and say, hey, my mom and dad are doing it too. I can do it too. And it's just that simple. It's just the whole family together making better choices.
And this totally ties into what we've been talking about for the last year in terms of systems change, right? What are some of the 6 conditions that we need to change? And we really, and I don't know if you guys remember, but it was the upside down triangle where the hardest area, the hardest condition to change is mindset. But now with this is gonna be where we start focusing, like you're saying, we focus on being the parents, we focus on them changing their way of seeing things. Like the example, the simplest example for that is when we have people, when we say we wanna do something. And you get a response of, it's always been like that, why would it start changing now? Because it can, because you can be that person chipping away at some of that change.
Loretta has her hand on, so I'm.
Go ahead, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of chime in and say I truly appreciate the conversation that you're having. And you're absolutely right. We need to specifically target our families and encourage them to engage in such opportunities as what you're providing, Best Start AV, getting them involved in the PTA, some of the parent universities that the schools actually offer, because I think systemically, yes, there's going to continue to be changes that need to take place because we're working on that mindset shift as well. But in terms of socially, we also have to, as you're indicating, get that mind shift to take place within our communities and our family. And I say this as a parent of students, as well as one who sits on the school board and identifies where the shortfalls are. And we have to identify those families that are least likely to be involved in those areas, such as PTAs, parent universities, educational opportunities, and get them to understand the value of it and how it's important for all of us to continue the whole systemic change. But thank you all. I'm just loving the conversation. I won't be able to chime in much, but I want to say my little piece.
Pilar? Come up here so that people online can also hear. Pilar, before let me introduce Pilar is our program officer for First 5 LA, so. Get up here. Well, not so that they can see you.
It's fake too.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Pilar Diaz, Program Officer for First 5 LA, supporting the work in Antelope Valley. Best Start Communities. Excited to be here today and was really happy to see personally, just and knowing the work and working closely with Sylvia and many of your best meetings. I'm excited to see the children and families and education worded too. Primarily because if I haven't said it already, thank you so much for your work on the State of the Child report. Antelope Valley, so influential. It's been, and Sylvia has shared that different agencies have asked for it and it's being used in different ways. And to uplift.
So we can't hear on the phone.
Also because I really read it from cover to cover, have summarized it for people. And I think what's really coming up is how the children, youth and families and education are so.
Whatever this discussion is, we can't hear it clear on the phone.
The education piece, there's such a disparity, in staffing, and then also related to, suspensions. And then when you look at the data on, the justice system, then you see the number of foster care kids and then just the rest. So it's so linked. So I think,
I didn't vote because I didn't want to, this is the community's void, the void. But I think it really made sense for the data that came out and consider the child report and the data mass. So I just want to, really uplift that and then the work that you're doing. I think it was in the report that said that the state of the child report, the data work that you're doing is really probably the first big data gathering effort in Antelope Valley. And I really want to stress how important that is. It's obviously, I just wanted to thank you and then recognize that the truth makes sense.
And so this is all, I always go back, this is for the community and by the community. This is, you guys have to take massive ownership in all this work that has happened because of your voice and your information and your participation in a lot of the projects, including the state of the child report. So let's go to the next slide. So we, when we were voting, we looked at some of this criteria. We asked, keep in mind as you're deciding which domains you wanted to use. It included questions like, what does the data look like? Is there enough data on this thing? On this domain, what's the work that's happening out there? Are people, are other organizations in our community doing this work around these domains? So there were several questions like that. So what we're gonna do next is what we said, we're gonna start unpacking some of these, the two domains that we chose and voted on. We're gonna take about 25 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. Online, there'll be 2 breakout rooms. Here we'll do it all together as one room. And what we're gonna do is start unpacking it, and as you see, we'll move those sticky notes over here where it's actually better to see. And we're gonna ask some of these questions, and together as a group, we'll discuss it. Yeah, we can pass those out. I thought we had some on the table, but there's English and Spanish, the criteria and what those questions are. So we'll ask the questions, and Narelle, can I trouble you with bringing those 2 sticky sheets up here? And then we'll get the markers and we'll start unpacking. So Stephanie, if you can put people into breakout rooms, 20, start off with 20 and then or just go with 20 because then we'll have to do reporting now. So online you'll have Narelle in one group, and then you're gonna have Omar in another group. And like I said, here in person, I'll work with our awesome community members that we have. Let me grab the markers.
I'll stop sharing.
So we'll start off, and everybody should have a copy of the 2 domains, the data maps that we did for them. If you don't have a copy, let's give you one. Okay, you all have it. Can I throw you with one of each, the English and the just the education, the English. Need education, and we'll do. So we'll start unpacking part of it, but first we want to just kind of give a review. Some of you were here when we did the data maps, and so
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the delay. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Can everybody hear me okay? ¿Todos me pueden escuchar? Sí, ok, gracias. Ok.
And myself, we didn't get as far as we wanted to, obviously, we didn't even get through the first section of the questions, but what I said to my team here, that I was working with, is that one, is that we are not in a hurry. We don't have to have these conversations and end it today and then move on to the next step. We need to have these deep dives into these conversations. So if you, in the different groups, if you only got to one topic or just one question, at our next meeting, we'll go into the next one. We're not gonna just end that. So this gives us, you know, in mind some of the stuff. What we're gonna do is Stephanie will make sure that when she sends out any other information from this meeting, we'll make sure to send out the data mats again, and we're gonna send out these questions again. So that you can start thinking about these questions, and when we meet next time, we'll be ready to go with bring your notes, bring your, you know, input, and we'll get yeah, we'll make sure that if you sign in today, then you'll be able to get that information. That's the main purpose of making sure that everybody signs in so that we can get the right information to you. But yeah, like I said, these are fabulous conversations. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little reporting back, and maybe Omar and your team, maybe you can start off with your.
I'll share because I.
Yeah.
Okay, so Stephanie will come up and do the reporting out. Yeah. Omar and Stephanie. That's how to lose me.
Hi, everyone. So Martha, did tell us she chose education because of the low rates on low graduation rates in the AV.
Excuse me.
She also chose housing. I know that's not a domain you chose, but she did put some important impact that sometimes it's not user friendly, the system, and like the way that your lines.
Excuse me, this is the interpreter. Hello, can you hear me?
He did mention that they work with the prison and that education and prisons they're linked together and go hand in hand. He also talked about bringing back the wisdom in the children. We also had.
Excuse me.
She chose education.
Can someone hear me? This is the interpreter speaking right now.
That system kind of builds.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It's providing more issues.
This is Rosie. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you, but we're having a really hard time hearing the person who is speaking right now. Yes. And we're trying to get their attention to try and let them know, but they're not responding.
Darrell, do you want to report on the team?
I got a message earlier about this. And I'm trying to reach out to what's going on. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry they can hear you online. Who's reporting first? Who's on here?
So in our breakout section, we did have some bullet information because in research.
Excuse me. This is the interpreter speaking. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you well.
Yes. We're not able to interpret because all we hear is mumbling. So is there any way that whoever is speaking can speak closer to the phone?
I did send a message to the host earlier And then they said that if you're having troubles hearing, that you had to log off and come back in. But I can send them another message to let them know that you continue to have that problem, okay?
Hello, this is Rosie Maynella. I also cannot hear the speaker live. They get lost in the paper and so a lot of people do not end up like going to
She should hold the mic closer to herself. It would help a lot.
So you speak up.
Yeah.
Sorry, so also like
The teachers.
preparing teachers or counselors on life skills.
Thank you. Well, I've been voluntold by my team to. When I say we, a lot of questions, we were having such good conversation, but there were several topics that came up. On the intersection of some of these data maps but really when we're looking at education, there's several issues that come up, right? One of the big issue is the knowledge that the parents have, the availability that parents may have. We have parents that didn't graduate, so they wouldn't know necessarily where to go, how to get information. We had examples of like, if I hadn't had my friend's brother teach me about an application, I would never have been able to do it. A lot of parents, they think, I can't afford it, they're not gonna be able to afford it, they're just gonna work because college and other education is unaffordable. So, then we talked also about some of the resources that we have, resources that have been here, they've been really good resources, for example, like some of the mobile book, mobiles, right? And they come and then they disappear, and this is stuff that the community still needs, and so what I said was, you know, this is part of, these are some ideas that we may be able to come back and think about when we're deciding as a partnership. What community projects are needed to target this education domain. These are some of the ideas that can happen. And then we called out our friend Mike from Learn for Life, he's here with us. Because we talked about how a lot of parents don't realize that some of these charters, some of these alternative schools have really shown to be productive and have shown really good educational improvement in some families. We have one of our members here, whose daughter is just graduating from Learn for Life. And so we said, you know, these are important things that what we told Mike is that he's gonna be coming back a lot, we just didn't know it. Because we wanna maybe get groups of parents who have no idea how or the process of getting their child to go to a charter school, or the importance of why it would be different than going to public school. We're not looking at taking down the public school system because that's not gonna happen. There's always enough for everybody. But these are just some of the things that we're talking about. And then we talked about like some of the opportunities that come out of this is really that it's gonna give us opportunities to volunteer. It's gonna give us opportunity to maybe join the PTA that we haven't joined before, right? Maybe starting to learn about resources where I can be a help to my family and friends. Then I'm gonna take it to my block, and then from my block, we're gonna take it to the neighborhood, and before you know it, it's out of the community. So really, these are great opportunities that we're gonna have with the work that we're doing, and really then getting other nonprofits to participate. But that participation goes both ways. We have to participate with them, and they gotta participate with us. So that's really some of the stuff that we were talking about. I think we got all of yours. Yeah. Any other comments or anything in the chat? No. Okay. Then let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So Darrell will come up and finish off, but like I said, we didn't get far enough with these questions, and there's still a lot of questions a lot of unpacking that we've got to do. So for the next meeting, we will continue this conversation, both in person and virtually. And then, like I said, Stephanie will send out all this information so that everybody can come prepared with their notes. And I'll hand it off to Ms. Norvell.
That went so much faster than I anticipated. I thought we were gonna be belaboring the point, but it just flew past and. You know, but it's a good thing, it's all good. So now our closing thoughts, our closing reflections. What were some of your takeaways from today's session? Because we have so much, we thought we were ready to get through all of this, and this just didn't happen, but we're so ambitious. You know, we think positive, we gonna do this. Yeah, anyway, so now, what were your thoughts as we talked online, as we gathered more information, you heard from some fellow residents, their thoughts. Give me one takeaway. For those of you who are online, you can drop that in the chat box. But for those of you who are here, just shout it out. What was one takeaway? One, two. Oh. Yeah. Okay, just shout it out. Give me a tip.
More volunteer.
More volunteer. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. Be creative with resources. Yeah. Be innovative. Be innovative.
No is not the answer.
No, it's not the answer. Oh, I'm gonna tell that to my 1-year-old. Okay, no, it's not the answer. What else? I know you want to say something, Mike. I'm looking at you. I see your face, Michael. He's like,
Doretta put manifested. Manifest it.
Oh, manifest it. Okay, manifest it. What else? I think hopeful. Think outside the box. Take the first step. That's a good. You don't know where you can go, just take the first step.
Rosie said, make it happen.
Rosie said, make it happen. Yeah.
Open and change.
Be open to change. Yes, yeah, anyone else? Any other thoughts? Okay. So we have some thoughts to think about, because we are boots on the ground now. We're moving toward our CPA, you all, and then breaking it down, what we're going to do. How can we make a difference? So our thinking process started, our caps are on, like, oh, we can do this, that, how about we do this, what about that? We're there, you all, we're there. So we're going to pull it all together. Go to my next screen.
We talked about.
Oh, okay.
Let me sorry, we're really good on time.
We are good on.
So, yeah, let's, if there's more conversation that wants to happen, and then we move on. But go ahead.
We talked about something several months ago that I still say is a good idea. Having small the programs like all of the homeschool programs, all of the smaller school programs come together in one place so that the parents can know their child can go there. I have met so many parents that didn't know these places existed. They drive right by them, didn't know they were there, or didn't know that their child would go there. A lot of them might have been private, but it costs a lot of money, or they have to be a special needs student or a super intelligent student. They just did not know. So I'm still saying and yelling it that there needs to be some kind of conference or homeschool programs or these kind of programs to pull them all together in one big auditorium. Let everybody who in the community, if you gotta go to every high school, every junior high school, every church and say, this is an alternative. This is something different, because you'd be surprised how many parents say, I did not know that I could go with. We're not trying to disband, like she said, the public school system, but it's broken. We gotta fix it from the outside, and the only way we can fix it is I have to be concerned about my kid, and I gotta take them some of themselves. Because this is not, it's not changing, and I don't think they want it to change.
But you said something, and me and my dog, I connected the ball. You said something that I hadn't heard before. And that is thinking outside the box. What a conference and the animal family to let parents and families know these type of services or schools or alternatives are
Never had. Because when you use the word alternative, a lot of parents think it's the way kids on. No, it's just another choice. So you have to change the mindset of the parents. I don't know these places are.
and okay, yeah. I think that was on my right, still gonna live in Lake LA. Brought up a point, and I don't know if she's available to speak with Yanira. Because Yanira brought up some really good points about that outer region. It's still part of the Antelope Valley, but it's like the outskirts, and we forget that these families have a hard time getting resources because of the distance that they are. And the families are still in need. And we forget about, you know, even they're between two cities, and
They can't,
they can't,
no, you're not just talking about it.
and this one, okay, y'all didn't hear it?
Yeah.
I said all that good information to y'all. Okay. So what we were talking about was our Lake Los Angeles community out in that area. Yeah, all of those that are in the outskirts, because they're in between the two cities, Palmdale and Lancaster, but because they are rural areas and a lot of the resources that are located in Lancaster or Palmdale, they might have a difficult time accessing because of the distance. And a lot of those children, youth and families, so resources that are here that we talk about. I love that you brought up. I hope somebody put that down, a conference to allow families to come together. And it's like the one-stop shop mall, and they get to get information, and they get to ask questions, and they get to see what is actually here, and we make it available. And I thought about what Yanira said about the Lake Los Angeles, if providing transportation for those families, or even taking it to the desert.
You could do multiple, we could do multiple conferences, just find big, find one place in Lancaster, that's something in, one place in Palmdale, do it there, one place in Lake LA, one place in Victorville, and do it there, and then just set up different places where the parents can come. Like I said, when my child went to Gorman, I didn't know Gorman existed. My neighbor next door, I thought he was a pastor at a church, because so many kids would come over, and I remember being upset, she was having problems at school. I went knock on the door, I was crying, and I was like, I need help, something's going on. And she was like, come on in, and she sat down, and she said, well, have you thought about an alternative school? I immediately thought that was so bad deal. She was like, no, she said, we have a homeschool program, you know, Gorman. And I'm like, never heard of it. They've been in existence for 30-some years. I had no idea. And I sat down, she got on the computer. She happened to be at that time the director. And she signed my daughter up the next day. We pulled her out of Lancaster High School and she was in school the next day. But had I not had, I wouldn't have known. There was no signage, there was nothing out in the community like a billboard or nothing. It was like just word of mouth. So I'm saying we got to open some bigger mouths and put out some signs. So the parents, they have choices. But some of them do not know, and they are miserable. The kids are miserable, the parents are miserable. They have choices. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, just gonna put it out there.
Sorry, Pilar, we have it just only because the people online can't hear, that's why we're. Yeah, sorry, because we keep hearing in the chat that I can't hear.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to put it out.
Those.
So just wanted to put it out there, not permitted, that's an idea, but to take that one step further, because that sounds like it could be a resource there, but to shift it and put some change level, thinking in the model, it's like, what if we invited elected officials and panels to talk about what are they doing regarding education? They invite superintendents, so it's more like, yes, we have a resource there aspect, but then there are panels so that they're you're hearing about the efforts that they're doing, so there might be something that they're doing. And then also to hear from the community, so it's really changing mental models and then really getting the resources, thinking about the triangle. Think and really like the resources flow from them too, and then lifting up the data that you have. So just kind of gonna put it out there for resource and the services and getting it to really like how do you influence how you can impact this. So just want to put it out there.
Wow, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, any other thoughts? Anyone online have anything they're gonna share? No? Okay. Come on. This is my brother, yeah. My brother, no. Okay.
I think we could take back along the Lawrence and that would also work in reverse. So if the officials don't have in mind, programs like what I was talking about, when they hear from the community, maybe that'd be more their agenda of the problem.
Good point. Good point.
Get push and pull with them.
Yeah.
Things where our students, but the parents have the right to make that choice, and some of them don't know.
They don't know, they do.
Yes, they don't.
All right, any other thoughts?
I think too, like there are high schools out here in the districts that do have specific CTE programs that are there to make student verifications for high growth sectors in employment. So also too, I'm curious to know if parents know about those higher education opportunities in high schools for their students as well. Because they have graphic design, they have ag, they have, there's so many different CTE courses that a student has at different high schools. And maybe they just don't know about it, right?
Yeah.
Because of the density
Right.
of the population of the school. So it could also be that as well. You know what I mean? I don't want to take anything from what the high school is doing either, but it could be just information that's shared about all of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because you're right, a lot of parents just don't know.
Right.
And we need to begin to infiltrate the community with information overload.
Right.
Because a lot of family, they're thinking, okay, remember the other data that we received. Don't forget, even though we didn't choose it, you have data with families that are dealing with economic conditions, that are dealing with living below the poverty level. So their mindset is, I gotta go to work, I gotta go to a job. Their mindset might be focused on, I gotta make sure we get some housing, keep you, survival. They're on survival mode. So to think about education and what's at the high school, that's at the bottom. But they still need to know in order to, like, I believe it was brought up, breaking certain generational mindset of poverty. But how do you do it? You've got to begin to change the mindset of the family and then where the children are coming from, because they're adapting to what is being said to them or what they're experiencing in survival. But we're talking about, okay, you have these programs that can help you with getting training and and they're thinking about a home.
Right.
So we gotta get them to that next step, but I like what Pilar brought up, bringing the systems to the table. How do you bring the systems to the school board, those that, the district leaders, and those that are with the charter schools and the difference, everybody be applicable, we could do this, or this is available, did you know about this? And then how do we get those families, because we're talking about child, family, and youth, but we're also intermingling education. Do you see how these two sectors are crossing? So how do we get all of that effectively? Because we got an effective team, you are members of the AHS team.
Well, you have to develop trust also with the parents, because we can put together an educational conference and have all these different children in the room. The parent coming, like you said, being hungry and homeless. We need to have something there too. It won't be as large as the education, but there needs to be somebody there as a representative from the Department of Social Services, somebody there from housing, somebody there from, any kind of food pantry or food program or something for the parent to say, they look in this place, and they're like, maybe I need to go to that line over here too, and ask some questions and have ready available information, not just give them a card and say, call, because a lot of parents do not know call. But if you have something, they can get a box of food right there, right now, or something they need for services, for a worker, they can answer a question, somebody right there that can help them, they'll be more apt to trust. Rather than thinking it's the track, I come to the door, you're gonna take my kids, if I say, you know, certain things. There could be anonymous questionnaires they can fill out to get information for later on, but if it's work together, we need to have them all together and same deal. And all of us know enough people in these different agencies to be able to pull it off. But it has to work together and it has to have resources they give them right then. Not something that they can set up for 6 months from now or a year from now. Something right then, you have, if there's an agency that has housing right now, they need to be there, sign these people up and get them off the street. If there's food and clothing, have it right then, where they can take it and go right then, because that's the usually the return. They don't want no more papers, they don't want no more flyers, they don't want to take you a meeting, they want somebody to help them right now, today. And that's usually what the problem is out here, everything is a waiting process, and it never happens.
Okay, any feedback from that? You know what, I do want to say, we went to an event. I guess it was earlier this year, last year at Eastside, Eastside, School District. And it was at Enterprise, and they had an event, a research event, but part of that was they had the boxes of food for the family, so when they left, they took a box of food. You know, they had vegetables, they had bread, they had all the things that they had food for them, and I noticed the response of the family. And the families were very much involved in that school district right there. So you're right, if we put something in their hands, it's tangible. Any other thoughts about
Well, a good example, what happened over the other day, at home, I think it was a mom, there was a family living in a trailer. And it just happened a couple of days, where they've been out there for like a week and a half, something like that. And it took this man bringing his family, parking his trailer in Lowe's parking lot for someone to pay attention to him. Otherwise, he had called every agency, went by every agency, he got no help. But then when the manager came out and said, hey, you can't park here, he said, I'm not leaving. I have no place to take my family. You gotta get from my place. My car doesn't work. I can't get this. I'm walking, going to work, trying to get food, trying to get something. I need help. He sounded the alarm for himself, and the manager made some phone calls. A place called Dick's Beamer, where we started our car service came, they saw it on the AV scanner page. They came and picked up his car, fixed it for him. Valley Oasis and a couple of
The sheriffs, yeah, the sheriffs, homeless team.
our food, they were able to get him some housing immediately. But think of all the people that are around here, and the spotlight's not on them, and they called these places, they went to these places, they got no help. This man said, I'm not moving, I'm not leaving until somebody help me. He got help. How many other families need to make a stand like that for somebody to come and help them? This man had to park his family in the parking lot in Lowe's, basically saying, I'm not moving till y'all help me, you can arrest me, but somebody gonna help me, and they came and helped him. All these agencies came and helped him.
And this also shows another, as I was saying, where some of these domains intersect, right? So, because if you think about it, a family that is unhoused, their first thought is, how am I going to get my children housed and fed? They're not thinking about how many days my child has now missed school. They're not even thinking, can the school help us? When in reality, schools have funding, schools have resources to help families up anywhere from kindergarten up to junior college, up to AV college. There are resources, there's fundings for anybody that is unhoused, but a lot of people may not necessarily know this. And so now you're having a kid whose education level, the testing levels are low, and they're part of they're factors out of other situations, you know?
Yeah.
But that family is gonna worry about, how they're gonna get housed and how they're gonna feed their kids before they think about, is my son reading all their homework?
Right.
Right, I have 2 comments, I call you, and then I'll go to you, Loretta, after December.
So when we started,
You wanna come up here just so that they can hear you online too, please, sorry. It'll be
I
on the
jump in?
microphone and they can hear you
Yeah.
online.
Hello, can you all hear me? I've had my hand up for a minute.
So when Ms. Kelly was speaking about like, we bring together, a forum on which we can have access for the alternate school alternatives, what I was gonna say, at one point in time, there was something for schools in the elementary school district on Palmdale. They used to have something called I Can Go to College or I Am Going to College. So when my now 21 was in 4th grade and when he was on 5th grade, we used to go to ABC, and then they would do like a mock college day there, where they chose 3 courses. And then we would sit in those classes, and the program was maybe like 4 or 5 hours during that day. That's something that they don't offer any longer,
It's
but
still there. Well, we can run by somebody else. I'm because they.
okay, so that would be great, but now the younger one is on 5th grade, so I don't know. And then, the other thing, with, Learn for Life or ADLA, something like that, they had something comparative to the resource fair also that you're referring to. And then that's how I actually heard about the program that were in this building. They had like boxes of food there, they had like the little swag bags, they had toiletries, they literally had like milk and beans and all kinds of stuff like that, so that's how I find out about stuff like this, and just kind of see a gathering of people. And just kind of, I wonder what they doing, and then I kind of just go there, stand and find out. That's literally how I heard about this. Laura with ABPH, it's all I heard about you guys. She said, I keep running into you every day at your son's school. What are you doing? And I go, I'm doing whatever I need to do to kind of just keep my head above water. You know, so that's kind of how I got involved, because you can sit on the sideline and talk about it, or you can jump in and read it. So that's pretty much about it. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Give me 1 second, we're gonna hear from Loretta online. Okay. Okay. Loretta, we're waiting on you. Did you hear me, Loretta? Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I was just kind of saying, maybe perhaps to deal with the educational issues and the housing. Has there been any thought around possibly training individuals to be advocates or tapping into existing advocates for education? Because I know even I myself, I really kind of get a little baffled trying to navigate through the educational system with all the rules and laws. So developing or having an advocate has been very helpful for me. With the frustration, I think you guys have spoke a lot about all the things that the parents are doing, and sometimes they get a little frustrated. Doesn't excuse staff members from not feeding into that frustration, but we haven't been able to change that part of people yet. But sometimes just having someone else advocate kind of helps them work better through some of those issues. It was just a thought.
Thank you, Loretta. I think that is a great thought. Area that we can kind of look into, flesh out, getting volunteers who have come from the school system, that understand IEP system, that understand the school district jargon, and break it down into understandable English that the average parent can understand and then advocate with them. I know that there are programs when you talk about, is there anyone else addressing these areas? Is there any other organization that helps with this? There are, but they're small and in between, and then unfortunately, sometimes you might have to be in a system, like when you get, you don't all parents don't have a CFS, but in order to get a wrap around, that someone can go to the school board with you and walk you through it and decipher what an IEP is, or what are your rights as a parent, or what's available. You need an advocate. I mean, you know, we have cultural roles, but we need educational roles. They can walk with parents and say, hey, I got you, let's walk. And they can help. That's just my thought on it. But yeah, thank you, Doretta. I get that. Anyone else? Any other comments? Because we're not done with this by any stretch, but we are on our road to clarify and break it down. And I want you all to be, this might be a homework or something, you know, you get through it. So here's your assignment. For those of you who are online and present. Next 2 weeks, just kind of investigate your community to see what other organizations are already in place and addressing these issues. Who else is dealing with this? Because we're not working in the silo, that's why we are gathered, and we don't want to work together. Who else is dealing with it? That have programs or ideas that can address the child family, the child youth and family domain, that have ideas that are addressing education, because we're not the only ones that are seeing it. But there are other organizations, smaller nonprofits, other people who are doing things. Let's find out as a community, okay, so who else is dealing with this?
This touches in on what we talked about a few months back when we were talking about one of our approaches being asset-based community development and also like rural engagement and popular education. All these are based on what assets we already have, right? Why reinvent the wheel on some stuff if it's there? But not only is it identifying these assets in the community, it's also then bringing them in. Let's say, hey, how do we work together? How can we support your project? How can we support your project, and how can we bring more people in to give you support? How can we grow this thing that you're doing? And hey, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you know, but this other organization, this other leader, this other church is also doing this. Let's all come together and work on that. And that's the key about the work that we have to do, is not just identifying who our assets are, because we already have a lot of people in this community, in this room, in this virtual room, who already are assets to the community. You guys are. So now it's like Darrell's saying, let's start putting on our thinking cap and like, let me look around, let me see who I have. Pull out your visible Rolodex and start saying, who on my phone can I contact that can be really good in this project?
Do you just want the names, or do you want to bring one of their flyers? Go back and think about it.
Already create your list.
Okay, here's the list. I can bring their flyers.
Okay, if you just start reading, you know, part of what we've always said is the key to Best Start is that we are creating and we are giving you the tools for your own tool chest. And what that'll look like is that at some point, Kelly's gonna be that one person in her block that everyone can go to, because Kelly's gonna know what resources are available. Kelly's gonna know who they can contact. But not only that, Kelly's gonna say, I shouldn't be the only one. Let me help you get your tool chest together. And before you know it, it moves from that block to the next block to the other block, and everybody has their own tool chest. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. So you are the advocate. You come with gifts, talent, and you know people. How many of you are on Facebook, Instagram, iPhone, whatever? So we know people that have, but we know people that are doing these things in the community, and we know people that know other people. And when we put it out there, hey, you know anybody that's doing anything that's helping children or youth or families get whatever? Yeah, I know this program over here, give me the information. And you can connect, that's how we're going to expand our Best Start AD. That's how we're gonna make a difference in our community. And it's because of you and your access. Okay? All right, anything else? Anybody else? Yeah? All right. So I think we can go to our next one, community announcement, and this is an asset. We have a community-based organization that deals with youth with a purpose. And she deals with youth, and she deals with mentoring mommy, new moms. So join the Mommy Mentor Network, it's a network. This is how we begin to help families from beginnings to stages of birth, to stages of child development, mentoring moms. So this is out there. We also have the Doors Project. Again, another asset that's coming straight from CCAB over today. This is to help people get connected that are houseless, that are coming from a system of maybe incarceration or maybe not just their house. How do we get them connected to permanent housing? How do we get connected to employment? How do we help them get connected to probably mental health resources? All of that comes through Doors. These things are information that we can get to our community, our neighbors, our local, wherever we are, parks and rec and schools. We need to make sure as Best Start partners that say, hey, I'm gonna drop this off. You all need to know that in case you ever come across families that need this kind of information. We are the ones that are ambassadors to our community. Okay, so that's that. Our next one, yes.
Can I just say that program, Mommy Mentor, I became a Mommy Mentor. I was chosen about a month ago for that program. It's a very good program, but that particular young lady, Shamika Bogart, she has hundreds of programs.
Yeah.
Underneath her one program, that's just one.
Yeah, there's one, and she deals with families.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah.
I went to it was
at the fairground. She had a program for foster youth because a lot of the people are on her board were actual foster kids when they were children. So he put a lot of activities after school. It was geared towards after school programs for kids that were in the foster care system and were being raised by a grandparent, things like that. Because a lot of children out here are in foster care, but a lot of them are raised by grandparents, aunt and uncle, a second family.
Yeah.
So she had that program, it was at the fairgrounds, and it was wonderful. There was a lot of people that showed up, and it did highlight a lot of after school programs that were free, low cost, and so many kids don't have anything to do, and it did point out a lot of different programs that they didn't know about.
And Youth with a Mission is also one of the recipients of the Best Start mini grant, so we are gonna be partnering up with them.
Yeah, yeah. See, these are resources and assets that you need to be aware of in our community. I think you can
Yeah.
Okay. So how many of you are aware of the AIM efforts in MLL? Can you share a little more about AIM? Okay.
Okay. So ABAIM is the Antelope Valley African American Infant Maternal Mortality Initiative. We are part of the county, but we focus on the disparities of the births of African American moms and the mortality rate of our infant babies. We come together with various resources that are from different community-based organizations to help improve these birth rates, to help improve the mortality rate of our moms, of African American moms. We work together with First Bible Lake comes on board. We do things that imparting information for breastfeeding, doula programs that can help these moms to get a doula, and they will go walk hand in hand with these moms. We make sure they are provided with resources as far as they need breadcrumbs, they need support, whatever they might need. So these resources are funded. But what else do you have? I know you guys get a lot of it.
Yeah, so, the route, it's a great, community action team, so the route is in the faith-based group, so they're faith-based, there's a faith-based, work group, and a fund development work group. And then also some of the grantees of the three grants, Empowerment Collective, Spartan Project Joy, and I wanted to share that, on August 30th, there is the breastfeeding celebration barbecue in honor of Black Breastfeeding Week. It's going to be at the maternity home. They just opened in Lancaster on Mansfield Street. I can share this.
Yeah, you can refer to Stephanie, and Stephanie will share with everything from today.
And this is something that a lot of people are not aware of in our community. There is a maternity house.
Right.
That is funded in the community. Moms that are expecting. Okay, moms are expecting can go to this house and get resources, and they have classes, and they have support groups, and they have whatever mom might need for their child, diapers, formula. But this is, I mean, everything, they have, it's a house, and it's new, we had a grand opening, a ribbon cutting, and it is phenomenal, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like really a community effort in partnership with the city of Lancaster, Kaiser Permanente, and then also other partners. And then the other event I'll share the information is that I don't know if you have this yet, is back to school resource fair on this Saturday. Right, on the 20th.
Yes.
Yeah, in Little Rock. So I'll share this with Stephanie as well. But there are a lot of great things happening in this community. So just, I mean, these meetings are.
Yeah, I just want to say, because for those of you who are in Lake Los Angeles, I want you to make sure you post this, so we will send this flyer to you. It is this Saturday. It's located in Little Rock, 9543 East Avenue Q10, Little Rock, California. And I know for those located in Lake LA, it's a distance to get to Palmdale. It's even a distance to get to Little Rock, but in Little Rock it's closer, so there is a resource fair where the kiddos can come and get something.
Thanks, Nita.
All right, also, here we go. We have our trauma informed master class, and the trainer is coming back. Shin is coming back. For those of you who have participated in our trauma informed master class, this is a phenomenal series. This time, this season, she's going to be here in person. We're not doing it online. We're not doing it on Zoom. We are going to be live and in person. And for the last 2 days, it will be designated for the trainer. So you will get your certification. You'll be able to do this trauma informed masterclass. Now I'm gonna plug in because we have a young lady who took the trauma informed masterclass and the trainer with us. She's taking that in her tool belt, and she's taking this training to Africa. And she's going to be training like over 100 pastors in Africa on how to identify trauma-informed peoples in their villages. And she's certified, and she's going to train the pastors how to be a trainer. So we can use this in our tool belt in our community to make a difference. It's coming here. Listen, sign up for it. It's free, but it will.
We're gonna send the flyer, and the flyer will have the link to event, for Eventbrite. And yeah, and you know, this trauma informed masterclass. It's a class that's normally like per person. If you do it outside of Bestart, it's usually $2,000 a person. The trainer is just as much too. And so let's take advantage. We want to have at least like 100 people, you know, to come in. But for the last trainer class, we had a turnout of 25 people that are now certified within our community to do the trauma informed care.
Yeah. And that's 25 people that can make an asset difference in our community.
So we'll send out both of these flyers for sure.
And then we have our Engage with Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Danielle Johnson is coming back, and that will begin September 6th. So the flyers will be coming out. You can enroll. You can go ahead and be a part of these classes. They are phenomenal. They make such a great difference in our community.
Just another little plug with our diversity, equity and inclusion, workshops. We had for, between two different cohorts at different times, we had over 600 community members, residents, parents, take part in these, workshops. So they're really popular. People like them, came back. Even if you work for a certain organization, we had one organization who doesn't have the capacity to be able to bring these kinds of workshops. They sent almost their entire agency to be part of that. And so it's something that's definitely that if you know of other organizations that maybe could utilize this because it's free and you will get a certificate, share that knowledge with people.
Share the knowledge. Okay. All right, follow us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and you can see us on YouTube. You can see yourself on YouTube. One little kiss that I on YouTube. You're a movie star. Like everybody is a movie star on YouTube. I don't think about it at all. But you use our QR code. But yeah, look at, view it and share it. You know what? This is how we get more people in at the table. Your family, your neighbors, share the YouTube channel. Say, this is what I'm a part of. And you can be a part of it too. And invite them in and join the conversation, because this is a movement. We're not just a program, we're a movement, and we're not stopping until we take over all that.
And you know, one of the things that we are gonna also be doing, we're gonna be doing another activity, probably within the next month or two, once we finish with our CAC, or CCA, excuse me. And that's gonna be one of those, we're gonna do a community power mapping. And what that means is that we already know the kind of power we bring, right? Like you all have power in this community, but now we're gonna do like this massive identifying again of what our assets are, or people that come with a powerful voice, powerful skills, powerful just being, you know, and we're gonna look at it and really get to analyze it and say, who are we missing from this table? And that's how we're gonna start. I mean, this is gonna be, like I said, when you all take over Best Start and kick us out of our jobs, it's gonna be a powerful team. It is gonna be a powerful movement that's gonna be happening here in the Antelope Valley. But even if you take my job, that's fine, because I'll still be part of Best Start, you know? I mean, so yeah, so stay tuned for that too.
Yeah. We have membership sheets.
Yeah, there's some membership sheets on the tables. If you haven't signed up, remember, it's really important. We're also going to mail that out again with everything today. It's really, really important because as we start winding down to finalizing what our community change agenda will be, only people that have registered and are full-fledged members will get to vote. So it's really, really important. Plus, it's also important for us to acknowledge and say, like, look, here's who we already have at this table. Again, who else do we need to come? But we can't identify that if you don't become a full-fledged member.
Right. So make sure you do that, and we'll send that to you online. Please fill those forms out. Please fill them out and give those back to us as soon as possible. Also, a Survey Monkey link for the partnership feedback has been provided. Fill out that survey. We want to hear your thoughts. Are we moving in the right direction? Do you understand what we're talking about? Fill out the survey, let us know. All right, with that, thank you very much for participating. We will see you in
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Giving everybody a little extra week in between.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.